Okay, let's get to the next category of distortions, which I call speculative. In other words, Al Gore speculates, it may be the case, it may not be the case. There isn't really a whole lot of data one way or another, but he presents it as fact. Now, this was one of my favorite examples of that. He says, in July 2005, Mumbai, India received 37 inches of rain in 24 hours, the largest downpour of any Indian city ever has received in one day. Okay, and so he clearly links this to global warming. This is because of global warming. But I just sat back for a moment and thought, wait a minute. Global warming has to do with an increase in average global temperature over decades. How could you ever connect that to a single precipitation event in one place on the planet in one day? Well, the answer is you can't. You might be able to find a link between global warming and rainfall in Mumbai, India, if you have a long enough data set. And, folks, 2 clicks of the mouse was all it took to get me to the Mumbai, India weather stations. There are actually 2 of them, and they have meticulous records on rainfall. And so I just typed in a few numbers, and it gave me 2 graphs, which are there for you to look at. They show rainfall in India in the month of July going back 45 years. And I defy anyone, Al Gore included, to find a trend in that data. In some years, the July had a lot of rain, in other years it didn't, but there is no trend from either weather station. Then Al Gore tells us, this actually is a cosmic statement that he makes. He says, global warming is disrupting millions of delicately balanced ecological relationships among species in just this way. Well, what way? Okay, he gives an example of a study from the Netherlands, which found that because spring is arriving a little earlier as it warms up, caterpillars are hatching about 2 weeks earlier than they used to. But migratory birds that feed the caterpillars to their chicks are still showing up at about the same time. And so he says this gap in the schedules of the birds and the caterpillars is developing, and as a result, quote, the chicks are in trouble. Okay, so that's what he's telling us. The chicks are in trouble, and millions of delicately balanced ecological relationships among species are being disrupted in just this way. Well, I found the study that he mentioned, and here's what the study says. The gap between the schedules of the caterpillars and the birds has had no discernible effect so far on bird numbers. All right? Pure speculation that global warming is harming species. And here's just an example to show you that one of the things global warming has done is made it possible for the robin, one of America's most loved songbirds, right, to summer in Arctic Canada and Alaska. A few decades ago, nobody ever saw robins up there. And now they're thriving up there during the summer. But guess what? They can still winter in the southern tip of Mexico. So global warming hasn't turned them into environmental refugees fleeing the heat. No, all it has done is make it possible for them to live and even thrive in places that were previously too cold. Another fact that you won't find out about in An Inconvenient Truth.